In this episode, we're going to talk about the only true way to get outside of your thinking in order to live a life that you truly love. So stay tuned. I'm Adam Kadu, and it's time to master the art of real heart alignment, where you live, work, and play from your personal power as energy aligns, your gifts flow, and life simply works. These life-changing conversations are designed to help you to see what you're not seeing, hear what you're not hearing, and to be who you're not being, as the world needs more heart-centered leaders now more than ever. Are you ready to say no to living a half-hearted life and say yes instead to boldly living from a place of real heart alignment? Welcome to the Adam Kadu podcast. Yo, 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 welcome back to the Real Heart Alignment podcast. I'm your host, Adam Kadu. This weekend, I got an amazing opportunity to spend 36 hours over 3 days' time in a transformational setting doing transformation work. This experience has cracked me open a little bit, and I can only grasp what I can grasp right now. And I know that there's going to be some profound things that, come to the surface over the next few days. And so what I decided to do on this week's episode is to unpack a little bit about what I experienced in my time. And so that way I can better come to know the materials and what I learned and what really surfaced. And also you can benefit from this as well. And so for a very long time, I have more and more people will tell me that I have a huge heart, right? Which I love to hear, but that wasn't always the case. At one point in time, I was so much in my head, in my fear, in my doubts, in my insecurities. And hey, look, I'm human. I get back in that. I'm not prone to that. In the last couple of years, I've spent more time in my head than I would care to admit, in perfectionism, in procrastination, in second guessing myself, in trying to predict the future and get it certain and then going. And that just wasn't the case. That's just not how life works. We cannot sit back on our heels, take little actions here, little actions there, and expect major change to occur. And so in this conversation today, I'm going to be breaking down a distinction between our thoughts and also our actions. Because you'd think if we can just think our way into action, we would do it and we would never have to worry about it. And we would just be fully expressed, fully aligned, going for it. The world is our oyster, having a lot of fun, creating meaningful, lasting experiences, changing the world for those around us. Life would be easy, right? But there's times when we face new challenges, we step up, we reach a little further, and we get into our head. Our head is trying to keep us safe. It's trying to keep us surviving. It's trying to keep us right here, right now, doing the same stuff because that's predictable. And you've probably heard on these podcast episodes how I talk about cavemen and cave women back in the day. I just find it fascinating. I did a little bit of studying up on them years ago. And there was proof that showed that if the elements outside of their cave were unpredictable at all, if it was rainy, if it was fogging, if there was new things in the environment, then they would not go out, they would not hunt, they would stay put. That was due to survival. And now that served them well, right? But fortunately, we are cut from the same cloth. And we still hold a lot of this fear inside of us today in a way to where we want something to be predictable. We want to know, hey, look, I'm going to put myself out. I'm going to get this business result. It's going to be worth my time. It's going to be worth my money. It's going to be worth my effort. And a lot of times, especially early on in entrepreneurship, if you don't have that level of certainty, then you're not going to go. You're not going to launch that podcast. You're not going to launch that business. You're not going to step out until your brain can wrap itself a little bit more about being certain. Which, yet again, it helps us. It does not want us to look foolish. It does not want us to waste time and to experience pain due to failure. But when we live our entire lives that way, when you spend so much of your existence, your time inside your head, what I like to say is you're not in your heart. When you're not in your heart, you're dead. You're dead in the water. if you're just experiencing life up in here, in your thoughts, in your thinking. So we are going to ground this conversation today to help you to bridge the gap between these thinkings and acting. And so I want to take a minute to help you get clear on what's really going on inside your mind when you get stuck in your thinking. Yet again, in the conversation of survival, there are certain things that have served you well in your life that your brain knows that when it throws it out in front of you, it's going to keep you stuck. It's going to keep you safe. It's going to keep you status quo, just doing a little bit more here, a little bit different here, trying something a little bit new here. But you're not really going for it. You're not being unreasonable. You're not reaching for the stars so that way if you miss, you land on the moon. You're not going for it. And yet again, I'm speaking to myself in this episode too, because I'm starting to see so much more of how I was living life in my thoughts. And so we have certain things, and even, getting ready to record this podcast, I share an office with a good friend of mine. And the thought that has stopped me in the past before is like, I'm going to wait till he leaves and then I'll go. Right. Because I didn't want him to judge me or, for me to mess up off the start and look foolish and anything of that nature. And so that thought was a reason to not get a freaking episode out. And especially about the podcast, I've been so freaking sporadic on this, which is fine. It is what it is. I'm not going to add any meaning to it, but it's like for me to just write a couple notes and come on the mic and share with my heart. It's, if you look at it, it's easy. It's simple. But the reasons in my head why not to do something, that's what makes it hard. And I place so much importance, and we place so much importance on the thoughts in our head as if they are real. But those thoughts, those thinkings, yes, they cause a phenomenon in the mind. They have a little vibration, but in reality, the way to base reality is to see shape or form. And so in order to take something from an idea, a concept, or these thoughts in your head and turn it into reality, you must speak that into existence. It's kind of like the iPhone. The iPhone was an idea in Steve Jobs' head. And thankfully, the guy was courageous and bold enough to get that idea outside of his head and risk people laughing at him and risk failing and looking like a complete, utter failure. Thankfully, he was courageous enough to go for that because it's changed the way we communicate. But if he would have kept that in his head as an idea, that idea lives and dies in his head. It's not real. But as soon as he expressed it to other people and enrolled them in the vision, not from a way of just saying, hey, look, here's this thing I'm creating, let's go create it. He casted the vision in a way to where people got it. It landed with them. He took responsibility for this. And when they got it, they got on board. They're like, this is amazing. I believe in this. Yes. And oftentimes we're afraid of people saying no or judging us or criticizing or thinking we're crazy. So yet again, we keep the thoughts inside. And it's not serving anybody. And it's driving you a little batty. It's driving me batty when I have these ideas in my mind and I'm not expressing them. I'm not getting them out into the world. I'm not creating them as a reality. And so take a look for a quick moment. There's probably certain things that you keep telling yourself you're going to do. You're going to hit the gym. That was me for a very long time. I'm on a very good path of exercising right now. It's amazing. I get a strike of emotion just saying that because it's been such a challenge through the years to be committed, to be consistent, and to just do it. And I'm just figuring it out. Maybe there is a podcast that you want to launch or a business idea you want to launch or a course or an offer you want to get out into the world, but it's staying up inside your head. And yet again, when it's in your head, it's dead. It's not alive. It's not touching people. It's not moving people. It's not creating impact and transformation on those around you in the world. So in order for you to start to shift from this place of thinking into acting, into bringing things into reality, the first step is to get hyper aware on how that action occurs to you. I've been wanting to call my dad for a very long time and just chat about nothing. Usually when I call him, I'm asking, hey, can you help me move a couch? Or, I bought this. Can I use your truck? Whatever. And I just want to create a better relationship with him. And I have these stories and these thoughts and these silly ideas about our relationship, where it's been, where it's going. I tried my best to predict how it's going to go because that feels safe to me. Right. So I was like, sometimes he just doesn't seem to want to talk. We don't get off the surface. I don't know if he wants to really improve the relationship. These are all stories in my mind that are influencing reality because inaction is action. And so I actually called him yesterday and we talked on the phone for 14, 15 minutes, which is like 3 hours for us. It was amazing. And I actually got emotional on the call. I was just sitting there, just hearing him talk and listening. And, whew, it was just a good experience. And it happened because I got outside my freaking reasons. I got outside trying to predict. And I just leaned into the vision of what I can see for my dad and I in our relationship. And that was just one tiny phone call, right? I've got to continue to stay in that and not get back into my reasons, but instead be unreasonable. Because we all like to feel like we have it figured out and we like to beat people to the punch and we like to know how things are going to go. But obviously, if I know how things are going to go on that call and I'm controlling that, then it's going to go the way I think it's going to go. So if I'm on that call thinking, oh, he doesn't want to talk and all that stuff, I'm influencing the call more than he is. I'm influencing that outcome more than he is if that's where I'm working from. And so I was open. I was loving. I was slowed down. We had a great conversation. And even after that, I made some other phone calls that I'd been putting off for a long time. And that's because I got unreasonable with myself. I got outside of my reasons. I stepped outside, like physically, mentally, emotionally, of my reasons. But those reasons are strong. They want to keep us safe. They want to keep us comfortable. They want to keep us doing the same crap we've always done because it's predictable. If you want a predictable life, if you want more of the same, a little bit different here, a little bit different there, then that's fine. Keep doing what you're doing. The chances are you're listening to this podcast because you want more expansion in your life. You want to rattle some cages. You want to lean in. You want to live a more impactful and fulfilling and full life. And the types of people who live that type of life are the people who are unreasonable and who get outside of their reasons and who stop predicting and they are hyper aware of how things occur to them. And there's this beautiful element when you can let go of your reasons and your excuses and your doubts and your hesitation and really be clear on not allowing things to occur to you in a certain way that's going to keep you stuck, to wipe the slate clean. There's this beautiful free fall, this opening that starts to happen. And in that, it's like a blank slate. It's like a blank canvas where you literally can start to think in terms of possibility of what could be possible here in the relationship with my dad or, in your relationships in your life or in your business. Maybe your kids, like what's possible, like when you can stop predicting and controlling and instead be open. But it's tricky too, because as soon as you start interacting, sometimes you go right back into your reasons, right back into your stuff. And so to continue to stay outside your reasons and to observe yourself in those moments, it's absolutely huge. And the way to further this along goes back to a beautiful concept that I'm getting more and more familiar with. It was something that I thought I grasped for the longest time, but I didn't. And that's the concept of integrity, being your word. And in order to create in this life, just like I said about Steve Jobs, he had to share his word from a place of possibility. And he had to stand by his word, because if he shares from possibility and the vision and what they're here to create, but then all the while he's getting into his reasons and second guessing and hesitating and delaying and procrastinating and not really giving a crap because he doesn't want to face failure, then how do you think that outcome's going to transpire? probably with failure, probably with more baggage that he's got to carry through his life. But he stayed working in possibility. He stayed connected and committed to his word. And now we have iPhones. And I like my iPhone. I'm a fan. I used to be an Android user for a lot of years. And I think probably 6, 7 years ago, I shifted to iPhone and I'm a big fan. Judge me if you will. I love my iPhone. A big fan of Apple now. I wasn't that way before, but I love it. So check in your life. What's coming up to you in this conversation? What are you starting to see about yourself? What is present here to you? What are the, and it goes so deep, we all have certain acts in life. There was an act that I discovered about myself that I play dumb sometimes. So I started seeing, just like, my friend Mitch and I, we have open, expansive conversations, and we're really kind of like allowing each other to be supported and getting off the surface level. And I have other friends in my life who, you can just tell they got shit going on in their life, but they're not really open to sharing. They're not really open to be vulnerable. And they got to act like a man, got to take it on ourselves and wear it all and show no emotion and, be tough, all the stuff that we were brought up with, right? Which served us to a certain level, but now it's plaguing a lot of guys. When it comes to suicide rates being higher than ever with men, health issues, just keeping all that inside of us, it becomes unbearable. And I saw that for myself. Like I literally had to, I was forced to allow myself to be supported and to put myself in situations to be supported in the last 6, 8 months. I couldn't have done it myself. It would have freaking broke me. It would have shattered me, and not in a way where, the breakdown causes the breakthrough. It was like, that would have put me in a very bad way. But I allowed myself to be supported. I shared what I needed to share, even my worries and doubts and all that stuff with people that I knew that could hold the space for me. But I've got other guys in my life that I just know they have such huge hearts, but they have to keep this kind of chip on their shoulder and be tough about it. So the other night, in casting that vision and being in that vision of possibility, I saw myself shying away from these moments where I could ask questions or hold space for people. I followed one of my friends home the other night because he'd been drinking, and I don't drink. So got home, and then I was like, it was late. And so I was like, I'll just go on by, I'll just drive on home, whatever. And I could tell there was a part of me that was like, no, 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 no. I could feel it right now. It's like emotion. It's like, no, check in with them. Cause we've had, a close family friend that had passed away here recently. And so I knew, I was like, hey, look, there's some emotion, there's some stuff, let me just stop. So inside my mind on the way, I'm telling myself, oh, he's probably tired, and oh, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know how this is going to go. All this stuff, all this chatter that was trying to keep me comfortable. But I got back to my vision and what I could see possible for, the relationship with my friends and the world at large, just like opening up and having more men just kind of sharing their feelings and their fears and what they're going through, and not from a place of weakness, but from a place of power, in order to let that shit go so they could step in the game even more fully. So anyways, I stopped and we had a beautiful conversation. Like beautiful, like it's just moving. And I wouldn't have had that opportunity to be that type of person if I was stuck in my reasons. Because the reasons are so good sometimes. Like it's late and I don't want to bother him. I probably need to get to sleep too, all this stuff. But no, I'm going to stop. And there's so many instances like that when we can get outside of our reasons and become unreasonable. There's so much transformation. And I know he had a good moment too. Like he was able to share and, and just get the idea. It's like, yeah, please don't button this up and just wear it and take it on the chin. Like feel it all, like let it come. It was a beautiful moment. I was very proud of myself, and also just like the deeper connection that we established in that moment was huge. It's beautiful. But there's certain acts that we're always playing. Like, oh, this is, I don't care about this, this doesn't pertain to me type of deal. So it's like we constantly use that as an act, not to go deep and not to share what's on our heart and to enroll others in the vision that you might have for the relationship with them or the business or whatever the case may be. And so check in with yourself and see what it is that's kind of like your default act as well. And for me, it was just like I kind of play dumb sometimes, like, oh, no, he wouldn't want that, or, you know, that's not the play here. And when you can start to see what's there for you, then you can call yourself on your bullshit and call yourself on it. And you can move differently in life. You can take new actions, inspired actions, not just checking the boxes, checking the boxes, checking the boxes, but really getting outside the scope of what you even see as possible for yourself in life. And yet again, I'm unpacking this. This is all pretty fresh to me, even though there's some things that have incurred in different trainings. But it's like this is really running deep right now. And so thank you for the space to share and to allow me to unpack this. And I just know that in staying in this and doing the work and staying close to this, there's much more here for me. So I'm doing my best to wring that towel dry, to get the most out of that transformational experience, so that way I can go on and be unreasonable and help more people in this life. And when we talk about creation, we are all in this together. So even the idea of taking your thoughts and sharing them with somebody else, not from a standpoint of like giving your power away or just talking, but with the intention of allowing them the space to see what you see as a possibility for your life or their life or your life together. It's huge, but 9 times out of 10, most people are going to think about, oh, that conversation could go wrong. I'm not going to do it. So then we stay status quo. Things get static. Things also get hard and challenging, where that way of being can potentially bring up even more issues. Maybe that person does want to go deeper, but you got the stories and you got the thoughts and the thinkings that are holding you back from that. So let's rattle some cages. Be a little unreasonable. Get outside all the reasons why not to take action, and just allow things to be simple. This life was built upon action. This life was built upon speaking life into existence. Even the Bible says, in the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was God. And so God also spoke life into existence. And if you're not sharing from your heart, if you're not digging a little bit deeper, if you're not being vulnerable, not from a standpoint of needing to be accepted, needing to be liked, any of that, nothing else than to just stand in what's possible for you, the person you're speaking to and engaging to, the groups that you're speaking to and engaging with, and just seeing how things unfold. Because yet again, just like even the conversation with my dad, I had no idea. You know, I stayed in this place of like, I have no idea how this will go. I wasn't trying to predict or anything, and I was just present. I was there. And there was moments where I shied away. I started shying again, shying away. I was like playing stupid. Oh, that's stupid. I shouldn't say that. And I could tell that I was shying away from that. So I was like, no, let me share. And the conversation went even more deep. And so I trust that this lands with you. This is yet again a little fresh, but there's so much here. And to put a cap on it, start to see in your life where you are being reasonable, where you're settling, where your thoughts are keeping you in a box, keeping you safe, stuck. Because you want predictability. You want to know how things are going to go. You want to know the outcome, and then you'll go. But that's not how life works. So we could live from one or two places. We can live up in our head, or we can be more unreasonable, get outside of our reasons, step outside of them, and live and lead from our hearts instead. So the next time you find yourself in that place of reasons, shake it up, step outside of it, be that person that you would appreciate somebody else being. Because when you stay stuck, when you don't act, when you stay in your head, the people that you're here to help and impact stay stuck and in their heads as well. We've all got to lead by example. If we're not doing that, we're missing the bus. then you know the drill. The world needs more heart-centered leaders now more than ever. So damn it, let's go lead. Much love, you guys. Talk soon. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Adam Kadu podcast. If you would, take a moment to subscribe and click the bell icon so that way you get notified when future episodes air. Now, here's the thing. If you are looking for the show notes, you can find a link to those below. If you're looking for the handles of the guests that I've been interviewing, things of that nature, you'll find that here. And if there's anything else that stood out to you in the episode, or if there's anything I can do for you, please leave a comment below, or for sure message me on Instagram if you'd like, as I'm always looking to hear what's working well for you and what caught your interest about the Adam Kadu podcast. So, time to go, time to change the world, time to help more people. Are you ready? Let's go do this thing. The world needs more leaders. So thanks again for listening to the Adam Kadu podcast.